Welcome to the GCC podcast presented by Gateway. Today, we are honored to host Nidhi Sharan, Head of Design Thinking Practice at SocGen Global Solution Center. GSC is a global delivery center for Society Generale, providing innovative technology, business process, and consulting solutions. As most of us know, it is a leading global capability center driving innovation and transformation. With over 20 years of expertise, Nidhi has transformed business processes and customer experiences using design thinking and service design techniques. A passionate advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and ESG, she also mentors future leaders as a faculty member in design thinking. Get ready for an insightful conversation on modernization, leadership, and the power of design. Welcome to the podcast, Nidhi.
Thank
How
you.
does it feel to be here finally?
I'm happy to be here. Really excited and a little bit scared as well of the camera, but really happy being here. Thank you
We'll
for
make,
having me.
we'll make it fun and easy for you. So thank you for joining. And I must mention you are the first leader who's coming on this podcast with the background of design thinking. And that's something very close to me and my heart as well. We've seen it change the way we were managing strategy in my previous organization. So I know, the responses you'll give to our questions is going to give us a lot of inputs on how we can change the way we manage businesses through the game of design thinking. So I'll get started now. So just for me to understand, since you have expertise in this area, how can GCCs leverage design thinking to navigate, the cultural differences and ensure solutions are tailored for diverse global markets? Because we're talking about India serving the global market. So how do you think the principles of design thinking help navigate those differences?
That's a great question. Also, one that is very close to my heart because, of course, I think for a GCC, a more practical approach will be to adopt a more local approach where, yes, you are aligned to what your global strategies are, but you definitely look at and consider the local context, right? And with design being a more human-centered approach, like it is about the humans in your human resources. So design kind of be like a guardrail which tells you that one size may not fit all. And what you may want to do is you may want to consider the regional nuances that are there, the the work cultures that we have in India versus any other country will differ. Our lifestyles will be different, right? Usually give this example. You have in McDonald's the McSpicy burger, which is here in India, but you will not have it anywhere else, right? It pretty much it's the same thing. You apply that same principle that it's not just the products that you're selling and how you're servicing your customers, but you're also bringing in that same nuance of differentiation, but but we're still aligned to the global the organization or the headquarter policies. But in the way we structure teams, how we define our own employee experience, and how we solve operational challenges will differ. So we have so many tools in design thinking. We use user research, but it's nothing but that you spend some time in the company of the people you would like to sort of create the experience for, right? Which in our case could be an employee. Just a case in point, I mean, for an Indian, if you're living in Bangalore, it's my pain point as well. Commuting is a challenge, which may not be a challenge in any other country, right? But if I am designing a workplace policy or a wellness policy, then I may want to consider what my employee is going through. What are their challenges? So you could use design thinking principles, and GCCs are doing that. We're trying to understand what the employee needs in terms of policies, what the employee of a certain age group or certain experience need in terms of the way the training programs are tailored. So when you immerse yourself using tools like design thinking tools where you do research, you map the entire journey of the employee, you also bring in the employees to co-create the solution with you. It is also important to remember that not all problems can be solved. It's very important to solve the problem that has the greatest impact. So the right problem to be solved is important. And from an employee's perspective, something might be extremely desirable. But for the organization, it's important that it is also technically feasible at that particular point to do that. And it's also viable for the business. So, what design thinking practitioners can do is bring in that kind of a change management conversation. It can bring people from diverse backgrounds, diverse roles together to co-create a solution that is entrenched in problems or challenges that people in that particular region are facing. So that's how I think it's one of the key areas when it comes to cultural parlance and you're making the culture parity. Are we speaking the same language?
Love your response, Nidhi, especially the fact you made was that design thinking is a very human centered approach. And
Yes.
honestly speaking, today talent is a big piece where GCCs are concerned. Why are they coming to India? Is because of the availability of good talent here, right? Productivity also is a big piece when you talk about design thinking and giving the optimal, output, and the globalization as we speak, right? That's also a big element. Thanks a lot. And I'd like to know what strategies can GCC leaders, I don't, many organizations today are using design thinking, but based on experience and how you are servicing your own organization, how do you think GCC leaders can adopt to embed service design principles into everyday decision making to improve their processes?
Again, a great question. And especially when, so, service, we have design thinking as a practice, right, is a larger umbrella. And as designers, what we do is we take elements from design to either create an experience or improve the experience of a product. So that's why you would have heard about UX design. And again, the thought is about bringing the user in the center of it. What is a service design is essentially is the difference as to why you as a person would want to go to one coffee shop and not the other. It's because it's not just about going to get to a shop and drinking coffee. It's about your entire experience. How easy is it for you to choose what coffee bean to use? Is how easy it is for you to be able to place the order? How easy, what the interactions were, right?
Would it also use things like access?
Absolutely. So service design, if you look at it, is nothing but looking at all of the touch points. It's just analysis or the experience at each of the touch point that anybody has with a product or a service, right? So for a GCC, when we are talking about, so you could say traditional process optimization also does this, and of course it does. The VSM will look at the entire the underlying process. But where service design brings the additional layer is the user experience. So your user is having an experience, and in the case of a GCC, your user is not just your end user who you are servicing. You have a product, you're selling it to them, and then they're using, but it's also your internal users. And frankly, that's a huge population of people who are using and providing services. So your internal users who go through multiple processes, right, with the GCC, and also your other stakeholders, your vendors, your other talent acquisition vendors. So and anybody. So all of these stakeholders are interacting with your processes. It could be your HR process, it could be a procurement process, it could be your IT support, right? So all of these become service touch points. So for a GCC, service design is integral to their strategic or any kind of a value chain transformation initiative. So, for example, you're looking at, say, onboarding. It is such an important, it's such an important touch point. It's your first experience with that company, right? So, and it doesn't happen on the day that you join the company. It happens on the day you get the first call from your recruiter. But what is the end goal is definitely you would want these people to join your company and you want them to say good things about you on LinkedIn. There is this entire brand management angle related to it. There is fewer attrition because people are happy with the experience. However, for a leader, what is important is always the bottom line. You have to ensure that there are KPIs associated. And here is where service design helps. While you're improving the experience, there's also the fact about you've reduced 10 steps to 5 steps. You have optimized a process. You have reduced inefficiencies. You've improved your productivity timeline. So that on day one, you're the person who's joining is you shorten the cycle. So you're ensuring that the productivity increases. Productivity gains will result in better output. It will result in SLAs being met. It will result in profitability, right? And it is my dream at some point that it can happen that we will have more service design metrics to be embedded in these process optimization and strategic objectives, because that's what it drives in the end. And it is important for GCC as well, because a larger organization, we know how it is. There are silos, and because service design is also about looking at the entire ecosystem. You're looking at sometimes, we've seen that, right? Where it's a large organization, old processes, legacy processes, teams work in silos. So the marketing, the upstream does not know what the downstream is doing, but they're all doing the same thing. We're working for the same user. Well, we don't talk to each other. But for a leader who really wants to understand what they can do to ensure that there is optimization across the value chain, you can use service design tools, you can blueprint, and you can see, okay, this is the underlying processes, tools, technology. These are the touch points where there are friction. This is how the systems are talking to each other. And that's when you can bring, more data-driven efficiencies there. You can say, all right, maybe I can do an AI automation. I can do something else. So for a leader, it becomes just like how you have your analytics, but here you have something which is more qualitative based, but still a data point for you to be able to look at how you can, improve experiences and also improve KPIs. So it's important for leaders to be trained maybe on or made aware of service design principles as more of a strategic tool. So I think service design has multiple use cases.
Actually, you know what? Design thinking has been around for a fairly long time. Service design is fairly new to a lot of us. And I like the way you explained it. You spoke about the metrics around it while it's qualitative. And also the key fact that, modernizing businesses is not only talking about technology. There's so much more outside the scope of technology, which the principles of service design bring in. Thank you for sharing that. So when I was looking up your profile, I did understand, the role of, you've had enough that you've done around ESG and also diversity and inclusion. So the question is really on the role of sustainability and DEI initiatives that are shaping the future of innovation in GCCs. We know all GCCs are very well aware about sustainability. Yes. And they're bringing that to practice also the scope as far as diversity and inclusion is concerned. But what do you think is helping them shape for the future?
Definitely, ESG, sustainability, diversity has been the topic, and more so because, GCCs are moving from just being a cost center, just like it helps with cost arbitrage, to being centers of innovation, right? So what is really important is when we are talking about innovation, so the three lines of innovation, if I have to think of it, one of them, so definitely you're looking at user desirability. So design, all of these other tools that come in your market research, user desirability, this is what my user wants. But you're also looking at, well, is it technically feasible for me? Is it also viable for me as a business? Will I be able to increase my footprint? And so you're looking at all of these strategic angles. And then for GCCs especially, the fourth lens is now sustainability. So you're asking questions like, if I am creating a particular product, or if there is a service, does it have does it have a regenerative quality to it, in terms of, is this model something that can be used? It can be recycled. Can we use it in multiple areas? If I'm creating a product, is the design even something which it can be used by everybody? Is this something that can be used only by a particular group of people? And if you're designing for everybody, then are the elements, whatever the components are being, are they sustainable? So we are asking those kind of questions now, which wasn't being asked probably a couple of years earlier, right? When we're talking about the GCCs, the mandate now is definitely that we ensure that our business models are regenerative. We explore ideas about how can we have more carbon neutral services that we can provide internally as well as externally, and ensuring that we are making green investments. By way of CSR also, you will see a lot of the work that is being done is in the area of ESG. And so it has become a mandate, and it's important as well. And more importantly, I think what is happening now is that there are a lot of programs, the training programs on sustainability that for us as employees that we are actually undergoing. And I see that in several GCCs, there are a lot of engagement programs, people are doing hackathons. So all of these are sort of really, really helping getting the message across. It'll take a while to, like, for all of us to be completely embedded in it, but look, the work started, right? It's like it's amazing to be able to look at how organizations are talking about a neurodiverse population being part of the working group. Persons with disability, yes, we have worked with them, but now what I'm seeing is we are actually going out and saying, okay, you're joining us, so we are open for you to join us. We are all equal. We use the principles of design thinking to understand what is the specific needs and challenges different user groups or different persona types in this area, in the diversity persona types will face, and preempt the solutioning, right? So, and you engage it with them through all of that process to understand, will they need special help if you're a caregiver? So diversity has so many elements and so many perspectives to it, where everybody is talking about this, the fact that it's important for us to be inclusive, but it's a mindset change. And a mindset change requires a little bit of introspection. And I think for any GCC, if they are just thinking about have a mandate, or they kind of have a focus on building truly inclusive teams, and also probably at some point we will see that happening, where sustainability and DEI KPIs are also being measured, or it is sort of embedded in your business KPIs. So I think GCCs are at in a unique position to actually bring about these changes, both as because they are providers of products, and they are also providing services, and I see that happening quite a bit. So it's a great initiative.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, there's definitely higher awareness, higher acceptance, and there is a whole culture change happening around. We talk
Absolutely.
about digital transformation. There's so much of social transformation we're experiencing. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your response on that. So I'm starting the fun part of this podcast now. That's the rapid fire round. And this just helps us know you better as a person, and just simple questions. So I want to know, what's your one habit that you swear by, that you think this is really important to me?
Yes, I actually journal through the day. I mean, in the sense, any point that I am a little muddled up in my head, I will journal. But yes, I do. I do something called morning pages, which is you get up in the morning and the first thing you do is you write 3 medium-sized pages. So definitely that is something that is being followed by a lot of people. So yeah, it is.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. That helps. So, what's that one thing on your bucket list that you're waiting to quickly go about
I'm a
doing?
K-drama fan, so obviously it's time I go to South Korea.
Lovely. Yeah, all of us have some place in our minds, right, to travel. So, that's a good one. And the last one is, what's your guilty pleasure snack that you eat, but then you
Cheesecake.
feel, why did I do this?
Yeah.
Cheesecake.
With
Lovely.
coffee, it will be like
With coffee, without
the
coffee?
perfect combo. Yes, with coffee. I'm a huge coffee drinker, so yes, coffee and cheesecake.
Cheesecake. Lovely. Lovely talking to you, Nidhi. Absolute pleasure. Thank you for, joining us on this podcast and sharing your views on something that we haven't covered at all.
Thank you for having me on your podcast, and especially appreciate that you've got a person who's from the design field, and I am very glad to be here. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks.